Hello and welcome to another episode of Old Faces. I am your host, Mr. Mocha, with my lovely co-hostess,
Mrs. Mocha? You said you're the host.
Yeah, you're my co-hostess.
You acted like I wasn't a part of this.
Well, honestly, it's because I kind of forgot my line, so...
Clearly.
Yeah, I messed that up.
We are your hosts, Mr. and Mrs. Mocha.
Yeah, close enough.
That's okay.
So, I'm excited tonight. We're going to get to talk to our friend Tammy. And while we wait for her to join the spaces, what's new in your world, Mrs. Mocha?
Well, shit. I don't have any good stories tonight. You caught me off guard. I was trying to think of some stuff upstairs. Maybe you should talk about your recent horror stories.
No. This is about the ladies now. We were talking about just, you possibly reviving the Dirty Girls Corner and some of your plans there.
Yes.
What do you got? What was the Dirty Girls Corner all about?
Dirty girls. It was, just sexual freedom, I guess, for women. I don't want to sound too corny, but just empowerment. Like, there's nothing that you can or can't do, or as long as you and your partner agree, or you agree with yourself. I mean, it was very unfiltered. We were very unfiltered. There was no filters as far as anything. I think at one point in time we actually talked about, one of the dirty girls talked about having a crush on her cousin. So there's absolutely nothing that you can't talk about on the Dirty Girls Corner. We talked about, everything from A to Z. There was no filter. That's all. All I can say about that. We were just who we are, slut sisters.
Yeah. So when you start talking about just being able to talk about everything. I mean, besides her cousin, how about lifestyle stuff? Like, how did you guys talk about lifestyle things? What was your
Just be who you are in the lifestyle. What dynamic works for you may not work for somebody else, but whatever you and your partner agree on is what you can do. I think all three of us had very supportive partners in our horror stories. You kind of let me have free reign on what I can or can't do, which there's not really any can'ts. There's more for us. There's more stuff that I just don't want to do. But, same for the other two dirty girls. They were sexually empowered by their husbands. So I feel like that is a big part of having a good relationship too.
Well, it looks like we've got Tammy trying to get in with us here. She says she's got I'm not sure if we have a bad connection or if she has a bad connection. It looks like she's trying to connect.
There it goes.
Okay, can you hear us? Can you hear us good?
I can. I can hear you real good.
Oh, beautiful. Well, welcome. Oh, it looks like we got some friends in there already. We got Karina in there. We got Blushing Vixen. Welcome.
It was also our fault because I spoke it into existence when we talked on the phone earlier and said, see you in 3 hours. It was a real thing.
Yeah, so the technical difficulty was not your fault. It was my fault. I didn't have the Bluetooth properly connected. So,
You mean at all?
Yeah, no, I didn't have it connected one bit actually. So, but fortunately, my wife, she was like, "Hey, is it connected?" And I was like, "Well, shit." So, welcome, Tammy.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So we're going to start off by getting to know you a little bit.
Okay. All right. I'm a little nervous. I don't know what's coming yet.
That's okay. That's all right.
You never know with these two. It can go anywhere.
No. Mr. Mocha is going to be in charge of this episode. We'll let him be in charge.
So what I hear you say is it might be a little more tame because you're not the one in charge this time, huh?
Yeah, no. No, I am in charge. I'm always in charge of that stuff anyways.
Yeah, well, see what happened when she wasn't in charge and I didn't push the button, so here we go.
Yes. I mean, I'm glad that I thought of it because I was kind of getting worried. Like, did something happen to the equipment? I'm glad it was just it was, what do you call it?
Technical
user error.
Oh, yeah, user error.
User error.
So we don't put everybody to sleep. So we're going to start off, we know that you are in the lifestyle. Tell us how you got into the lifestyle. Tell us where you began.
Okay. Well, once upon a time, I kind of popped into this bar in my area, in my community, and was kind of like forcing myself to get out there and meet people in my single era. So I thought I can be a real shy, awkward type and sit in the corner and look at my phone. And I thought I really need to push myself and be a little more social. So I sat at the bar and a couple of these ladies came by and sat down and we hit it off, started to talk. And one of them disclosed that they were in the lifestyle. Her and her husband were in the lifestyle. And I was like, oh, great. That sounds interesting. And so we chatted a little bit. It wasn't a huge part of the conversation. But the next time she was like, hey, come meet us out here the next time we're out here. I said, okay. So she did. And I met the husband. And before I know it, they were introducing me to other people. They have several meet and greets that they would kind of tag me on and invite me to. And that's kind of how I got started in the lifestyle. I'd already heard of it. I knew that there was a community, but never saw it like in the wild myself.
So how do you, well, I guess, no, the next question is, what was your first lifestyle experience?
First lifestyle experience was a house party. So this couple invited me to a house party, and the one that I remember the most probably is actually it was the first one, was a New Year's Eve party. So it was kind of a bigger one where there were several people, and I got my first sampling of that, of at least I can be pretty voyeuristic, so that I was there to observe and kind of just take it all in. So that was my first experience of truly being at an event where people were mingling, there was a playroom, all the fun things were happening.
Okay. Mrs. Mocha?
I missed the last part of it because
she
something was muted again.
So she basically, her first party, she just looked at things.
Oh, you're a voyeur.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I love being voyeuristic and learning about things, kind of taking it all in with my eyes first. So that was an experience that I went to that. I did go with a date, so I felt a little safer than trying to enter in as like the single woman, not knowing I had all these ideas that probably a lot of people have that are not in the lifestyle or the vanilla folks out there. I think I was like, is this going to be a free for all? And am I going to be safe? What's going to happen? How uncomfortable am I going to be? But what I learned was everybody was so welcoming and so friendly, just really nice, very talkative and personable. I really enjoyed my experience there.
So did you go home and fantasize or fantasize about what you wanted to do next? Like, how did you go on to the next step?
Well, I was there with a date. I went home and had lots of fun with the date. So, yes.
So you didn't just watch everyone else and have to go home and use your toy. Got it.
Yeah, no, he was my toy. So he was a very good toy. But yes, then I realized, right, it kind of caught fire on how exciting and erotic it is to be in that space where people are very open and free. There's no like real inhibitions around this. Everything's kind of normalized, and it was just freaking fun.
I can relate to what you said. It felt very free. I think that was how I felt like the first time we went to a huge party. And I just thought that everyone was just like me. That was not the case. But I thought that everyone was like wanted to be naked and just have sex with everyone else. But I realized that some people do have like some reserves. But I can't remember.
Yeah, that's me. I'm the reserve party. I'm the one that's like, I will probably befriend you because you're going to help me come out of my shell a little bit. I find the fun ones and try to start some conversation, and you can help bring me out of my shell a little bit because I can get there, but I can be real awkward at first.
It's always more fun if you have a friend to do it with. I do way more if I have like a friend. I also do way more if I have a friend, because if I want to take a friend or a break, my friend can just take over, and I don't feel like I'm just leaving whoever like high and dry. I'll be like, oh hey, come get in on this. I'm gonna go get a drink of water.
So when was that introduction? How long ago was your introduction to the lifestyle? How long ago was that?
I can't hear you.
That was probably, 6 or 7 years ago, somewhere in that range, 6, 7 years ago.
Okay, and from the time that you're introduced to the lifestyle, how long was it before you played in the lifestyle?
Ooh, great question. So I am definitely more voyeuristic, that I won't necessarily play publicly, but behind closed doors, oh gosh, I would say a few months within that year. It was within that year. I was at another party and happened to hit it off with someone that I think some mutual friends thought we would make a good match, and they kind of kept telling each one of us about the other one. And then we happened to land at the same party at the same time. So I was still reserved on not playing publicly, but certainly had some fun behind closed doors.
So you were more lifestyle adjacent for a little bit.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Very, very adjacent, especially being single. I didn't, I was learning all the terminology, and I think people wanted to know because I was a single female, if I was a unicorn. And so trying to navigate that, and had never dated a married man that I knew of, so that was all an adjustment for me and my kind of psyche on what is, this is really taboo and goes against what I've always known, or always been taught. So it took me a bit to try to, I guess, bridge that gap there.
Mm-hmm. And you say dating somebody else's husband. So did you like go on dates? Were you into more like chemistry and let's talk a little bit and then we can have sex? Or were you one that you could just like jump in and do it?
Yeah, I'm a talker. I have to talk and kind of get to know you and banter back and forth. And I define myself as a sapiosexual, even though I kind of hate labels, but that one kind of fits on, can you stimulate my brain or make me laugh, something like that, and connect in that way before I decide, oh yeah, I think I'd like to see you naked now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So can you clearly define the word sapiosexual for us?
Yeah, sapiosexual.
You're really
quiet. So sapiosexual is being attracted to intelligence. So for me, that could be straight up nerdy talk. Yes, I love it when people talk nerdy to me. But it also could be make me laugh. You've got a wit, some sense of humor that I really like. And, like you kind of turn on my brain. If you can kind of surprise me or keep up a conversation, that's pretty hot.
Okay.
So you like a mind fuck before you actually fuck?
Oh, careful, because mind fuck in the kink world could be something else. I don't know about mind fuck, but kinda, yes. So stimulate the brain.
So when we use the term mind fuck, we're talking about making your brain extremely turned on.
Oh yes, when you say it like that, Mr. Brooks, can you say it? Can you say it again? Well, that is a kink thing. That's the thing in the kink world is, this kind of mind fuckery, deprivation, or degradation, all kinds of things. So I'm personally not into that. I've seen it, and man, it's hot for other people. I love it for others. That's probably not my thing, but yes, stimulating my brain in an intellectual way, that's really hot.
Okay. So now, from then to now, what was your first awkward experience? Obviously, don't use any names, but you have to be more descriptive now. What was your first awkward experience, and what made it awkward?
Are we saying awkward or bad?
Awkward.
Okay.
Because everybody's had a weird experience, then you had bad experiences, then you had funny experiences, then you had the really good experience. So we're going to start with the awkward ones.
Awkward. Awkward might have been when I did connect with the one gentleman that people, thought we would be, we would hit it off, we'd be a good match. We were hooking up in the bathroom of the party, and somebody I had dated briefly was outside the door, and it didn't end so well. That relationship didn't end so well, so that was a little awkward of getting banged in the bathroom and trying to come out, with the other person standing there. That's way awkward.
Yeah, that does sound like it can be a little long. Yeah, that makes sense.
That was a good walk of shame, though. That was a great fuck you, sir. That dick was great that I just had in the bathroom. I hope you have a great day.
It was like, fuck you very much. All right. So now, within the lifestyle, I know you said you were a unicorn. What different ways have you experienced the lifestyle? Lifestyle as a unicorn, lifestyle with a partner, lifestyle. How have you experienced it?
I wouldn't define myself as a unicorn. I'm probably more hetero-flexible, with the right person, right time. So my experience is honestly dating probably single men more so than there was probably one married man that I had gone out with, but didn't really hook up with either. Had a little bit of fun, a little bit of play, but not really much of a hookup. Otherwise, it was single men that were in the lifestyle as well. Until I met my husband, who was vanilla, and I kind of threw him in the deep end the very first date. I was like, hey, I have these friends. You want to go meet them? He's like,
Wow.
Sure. Sure. I said, great. And he held his own, and people liked him. He's very polite and warm. And so he did well. And we've gone to several events together and kind of played a little bit here and there. Again, we're both kind of not necessarily public people, at least in our journey so far. And he's military, and I have a job that, that I probably wanted to keep some of it more private until I really got my bearings in it.
Okay.
So, question.
Mm-hmm.
We're kind of skipping ahead, though, because this is just how my brain works. But how is it doing things completely separate from him? Like, how do you navigate that alone? Is it more nerve-wracking? Are you comfortable? Do you find like a space, or do you usually take a date so that you feel okay? Like, how do you navigate that?
We do play separately. So we go on separate dates, and it is difficult. We are an interracial couple. Where we live is not necessarily a lot of interracial people. And so it's hard to find maybe a good match that works for both of us. Mm-hmm. So we kind of figured out pretty quickly on that it would be best if we just kind of looked independently and dated independently.
Okay. And you've been to like big events by yourself, or?
I have. As a matter of fact, I did my first Splash Mocha back in November. So that was independently, and that was a little nerve-wracking.
And you seemed like you had been there the whole time, because I think I met you during the podcast there.
Yes, we did meet at the podcast, and I appreciate you saying that, because I do tell people I am pretty much awkward as fuck. So I'm so glad that it didn't look as awkward as I think I am.
I agree, not that you're awkward as fuck, but that I can be awkward as fuck also. But there are several people that are like, no, you're not awkward at all. I think maybe that means you have a really good game face. But I can be honest, I've been to like parties and house parties and stuff like that, but never like a huge event without Mr. Mocha yet. I don't know. I might one day, but I mean, that took a lot of balls for you to do that. I think I just not knowing if I didn't know very many people, I could go by myself now, but just not knowing very many people, I don't know if I could just jump into that environment. I would have probably TikToked in my room for a while. So kudos to you for that.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I do have to confess, it's confession time, that I had met a guy that has done many Splash Mochas, and through another mutual friend of mine. And we hit it off and had kept in touch over the past, I don't know, 3 years or more, 4 years maybe. And I had already signed up by myself, thinking I was going by myself. And I reached out and said, any chance you're going? And he said, actually, I am going to go. I was like, oh, great. So I was so lucky to have him kind of under his wing and for him to introduce me to people and say hello. And, but I have to say, even as much as I am so grateful to him, people really at Splash Mocha are so also inviting and warm and friendly. It's all family there. Once you've been there, they're like, hello, you keep seeing them running across the same people. It was such a great environment. I really cherished the time that I had there. As nervous as I was, people really did their best to make me feel comfortable.
I think people are actually drawn to the newbies. Like, not saying like
right.
you're a new person, but, new to Mocha. Like, there are a lot of people that are drawn to that. Because I feel like everybody's like, oh, I've been there, done that. And my first one was overwhelming. Because you don't know what to expect. Because I don't know if you've had the experience, but the experiences we had with, like, I don't want to be so mean and say this, but I'm going to. Single guy parties, quotations, or single guy events that we'd had in Atlanta before we went to Mocha. I cannot say that they were all bad because they weren't, but Trapeze was like our biggest place to go for single guys, and they started just there's no, you don't have to be lifestyle to get in, so you just didn't know what you were going in for. Somebody might be kind of grabby, they may be, and I don't mean like violently or anything like that, but just like when you're in a club, they like kind of grab on you like, oh, hey, how are you? And they don't
have the social etiquette.
Correct.
Splash Mocha.
Thank you.
The great thing about Splash Mocha is the time that's taken. We do a single guys seminar, talk to the guys, just break down simple etiquette, and then the other guys help guys with etiquette. They talk to the guys. So the cool thing about Splash Mocha, outside of the house parties that we have, when we do house parties, we go through, like I go through and talk to each guy.
Everyone's vetted though.
Everyone's
I've fucked
vetted.
all of them.
We talk to them all, behavior, and for a convention or a hotel party, Splash Mocha is probably the only one that I've seen the level of vetting. So yeah, I definitely think that changes the game as far as
and safety has never been an issue. I applaud you for going. Safety's never been an issue at Splash Mocha. I applaud you for just walking in and not knowing, because I would probably be anxious ball of crazy if I don't know things. I think that's, Mr. Boca and
I appreciate that.
Yeah, Mr. Boca and I, the only time we kind of headbutt a little bit is if I don't know enough information, I ask him 100 questions and he's like, do you trust me? Just do it. Okay. But yeah, I think I would, I like I said, I applaud you for that. That's a big step.
It was a big step. It was definitely very stimulating and could be overwhelming at times. But like I said, I think that the people who attend, I know that they probably have been there themselves and understand that. And I think they really help the newbies along.
And stepping into that space like that, what do you think, like if you were talking to a couple or lady who's going for the first time and they were having a hard time taking that step? I always feel like every time you do a thing, you grow from it. What type of growth do you think that you felt from doing that, from taking that step? Or what did that do to you?
That's a great question. I think that it really boosts your confidence in walking into spaces where you don't know if you're going to be accepted or welcomed or not. We've all been there, walking into a space or a situation is that, will we fit? And that what it did for me was kind of say, fuck it, let's try it. I didn't have any expectations. I didn't set any expectations for the event. I thought if I go and connect with people in ways of just even just for community. That's it. And I walked away from that, and I met some new friends, and that was a success. So for me, it was kind of resetting expectations, pushing my comfort zone of being this individual in a space like this where I feel like everybody's going to know each other and I'm the odd man out. Helped me overcome that and again, push myself, kind of circling back to when I was first trying to get out. I can be really shy, and that helps me get more confidence, I would say, by talking to people. And the reflection, every time you meet somebody new and engage, whether it is sexual or non-sexual, you learn more about yourself. You learn more about people, but you learn about their reflection of you. So it's a tremendous, especially in a place like this, it's a tremendous amount of growth and self-awareness that you start to see, and to see all the ways that maybe even, kept yourself closed off or inhibited, and how much freedom it is to let go of that.
Nice. I find that in events like this, I tend to have growth when properly stimulated myself.
Dead. You're such a fucking pervert. We couldn't just be regular for one episode. You have to talk about your premium peen. Just in case anyone wants to know, I have great dick and I will give it to you.
I said nothing about having premium peen. You said that. I was just simply talking about the proper mental stimulation causes growth. That's
Are you near your microphone?
Can you hear me well, Tammy? Because my wife...
I can.
I can't hear you.
Well, honey, why don't you turn your volume up on the...
My volume is up. I can hear her loud, and I can't barely hear you.
Well, I can hear you good. Push your button
because you're being timid.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we all know there's only one subject I get timid about. That's your tongue near my butt.
Booties like groceries. Eating the booty like groceries.
So we're having a conversation earlier, me, Mrs. Mocha, and Tammy, and, we somehow got on, I forget how we got on the subject of...
Eating ass?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How do we ever get on subjects of anything? I don't know. It's bunny trails.
Yeah. And would you say, Tammy, when I answered her question?
Oh,
yes. You answered it like a question. She was like, so I can't eat your ass? And you're like, well, you can. And it was such a strange sentence that came out of your mouth, just because it sounded like a question instead of the normal Mr. Mocha, I state things and there's no apology for it.
She was staring at me like a predator at the time. I was a little nervous. I kind of had the urge to start, backing up slowly.
His face froze for a minute, but it was fine.
Yeah. She only my wife can make me respond in certain ways. But
I almost felt the clinch too from all these miles away. I almost felt a little tiny clinch on your end there as well. So
yeah, it was a lot of years. I mean, Mrs. Mocha used to massage me. We always talk about it, and I had to clinch because I didn't know she was trying to get me. I had to keep an eye on her back in the day. Literally,
back in the day, feisty. I would massage his back, but I would always think damn, his glutes are fucking muscular as fuck. But I realized for years he was clenching what am I doing to your ass? You asked me to massage you. What in the fuck am I gonna do?
Look, I'm gonna be, if I'm gonna be face down, I won't be ass up, okay? All right, I had to make sure I was protecting my assets while I was laying down and she was massaging my back. You never know who might try some weird shit on you all of a sudden.
I had no desire to touch your ass.
Well, I appreciated that.
So you were good.
So as we move forward, so we got past the awkward moment. What was your best lifestyle experience outside of the house, outside of Mocha, but just in the regular, whether it be a house party or even somebody, or some interaction outside of Mocha? What was your favorite so far?
Ooh. No, I don't know. That's a good question, because I'd have to go back to Splash Mocha. And I think the reason I would say there is it wasn't just one experience. It was several that there were so many different aspects or facets of Splash Mocha that made it such a high that leaving Splash Mocha, there is a drop, and the drop is real. It's like, dang, you got to go back to real life after this. It was hard to step out of that space, and you feel like you've made all these new friends and they really get you and you get them, and then you walk out of there. But it was such a high being there. There were so many different activities or conversations, different things that made it amazing.
Yeah, it's like they put Molly through the air vents or something. Or
Yes.
when you leave, you're
Yes.
like, shit, I'm so kind of happy, but I need like 3 or 4 more days off work to get readjusted to being back in not fantasy land.
Yes, that's exactly right. But it's brought such memories too that are going to last a lifetime as well. That, you know, you get to, people say you get on that deathbed and what do you regret? Like, I can feel like I did not regret that. In fact, I would have regretted not allowing myself to go, giving myself permission to go and pushing myself to go. That I'm really proud of that moment as well. So I would say that. Outside of that, I don't know that it's one experience. I think it is meeting the people I've been able to meet, talk to the people, get to know them, and opening up my mind to so many other things. It has opened up not only swinger lifestyle stuff, but also so many other facets of how you can have a different relationship than what we're scripted, right? What we're handed down as this is the right way to do a relationship. There's no way to really kind of do it wrong as long as everybody's consenting and content. So that has been amazing. As far as sexual experience, gosh, I don't know that I have one in particular that would stand out, just because I feel pretty euphoric for all of the activities that I've been able to participate in. So each person brought their own stuff.
Mrs. Mocha's going to have to take you on a journey with her, and then we'll see if you...
I'm dead. Not a journey.
Yeah, like it's just like a sex journey where she brings a couple of friends and y'all do some wild shit. Then you come back and have a different report.
He'll like it. If that's what you like. I mean, I do have a... what do you call them? What would you call it? A group of men? If we wanted a group, we could have a group.
She has a plethora of options for you.
And they're all, I don't want to brag, but they're all pretty good dudes. Pretty good dudes.
No brag.
They're all pretty good dudes.
Yeah, she's got some good guys who comes around. So now that you know you hit a couple points that I like number one, and you and Mrs. Mocha kind of both hit on it. Whenever we go to like a Splash Mocha or any nice good event, to me it's almost euphoric to be in an environment where like no one can judge you. Like, you can't judge me here. Everyone's here for the same thing, and all of a sudden I think it's the only time that I'm able to be in an environment surrounded by people where I can relax, because anything that I say is okay, and all the things that I'm currently thinking, everybody else is on the same page, as opposed to most of my life where, you know, I'm thinking about...
Your cheeks are clenched. Oh, sorry. Was that on the podcast?
That's only around you. But I do like that. And another thing was the touching on the freedom aspect. You know, there's a certain... It's not the freedom aspect, the concept of there not being a wrong way. We have conversations constantly with couples, with people, and oftentimes people come into the lifestyle, they're introduced by a couple or by somebody else, and they teach them to quote unquote lifestyle the way they lifestyle, as opposed to saying, hey, there's all of this that you can try. And so that'll kind of segue into something else that we spoke about. What is your occupation, Tammy?
I am a relationship and sex therapist in Texas and Colorado.
Sex therapist.
That's right. Say it slower. Say it in my ear. I like it.
I've already said things in your ear.
Did you have sex with her?
Oh yeah. She actually seduced me. She was during the podcast. She did was that Michelle Pfeiffer in that movie where she like uncrosses her leg and then give you the beaver shot, and then I was like, okay, I'm coming.
No, that was Mrs. Mocha. That was Mrs. You guys, the redheads, confused now. Remember, she was in the podcast, and you were like, "Hey."
No, she was sitting next to me. You were directly in front of me. I know you had jeans on.
I wasn't sitting next to you.
I'm imagining that those jeans were a skirt. That's what I was imagining. At least that's what I was imagining. That made me invite you to see my room. Would you like to see my room?
I'm so dead. So Tammy, you want to hear about this? That's been his line for like 20 years now. Let me tell you. The first time that I actually met him, I went to his house. I don't need anyone's judgment about that, okay? We met online, and I went to his house the first time we ever met. But, oh well, I didn't die, clearly.
Oh well.
Yeah. And like towards the end of the night,
No, that wasn't the end of the night.
Well, no, like
that's when it began. But keep going.
Okay, yeah. So we were like playing pool, blah blah blah, and then his roommate and roommate's friend like go upstairs, and then of course I get nervous because I've told myself I'm not having sex with this guy. I don't know why you think that's so funny. Anyways, he just like looks at me. He's like, "Hey, do you want to go see my room?" And I was like, "Oh my god, is this guy in high school?" But of course, I went to his room. I didn't say no because I couldn't. But yeah, that's been his line for a long time. Like, "Do you want to come see my room?" Sure.
Apparently, it still works, and people continue to do the things that work. So.
I'm not knocking it. I couldn't tell him no. He makes that thing wave at me.
I agree. I think that's what happened in the podcast room. I was like, oh, I think he's waving at me over there.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
Just watch his penis. It'll bounce and wave sometimes. So.
I think that's exactly what was happening. The table was kind of in my way, but yes.
Listen, I am trying to offer
premium peen.
You need counseling. So now that I'm sitting here rehashing the good time we had, starting to get a little blood flow here before I get distracted.
Sorry.
What made you decide to go into the field of sex therapy?
Well, for years I've seen couples. So my specialty has been couples, relationship therapy, and of course sex always comes up. I actually have been interested in it for a long time and been working with couples a long time, but I really thought labeling myself as a sex therapist would hurt my career. Honestly, I live in a pretty conservative community. However, there's a really great, thriving swinger community within it. But I really thought that would hurt me professionally until I got to a point where I'm like, fuck it. This is what I want to do. And I think there's a need out there for it. And I just love going deep, real deep into this. So,
me too.
Bring it on. I know.
As long as you remember.
I remember. So it's what I love. So I was like, nope, I'm going to geek out in the sex world. And so that's what I did, and went ahead and completed a whole program that took a couple of years to do to be a sex therapist.
Very nice. So
do you feel like that's helped your sex life? Like you be more sexually open or free from like teaching other people about it, I guess, or
I do. I think the more I learn, and I actually travel the world and learn sex in different cultures. So I've been everywhere. Well, not everywhere, but I'm trying to get everywhere. So I've been to Jamaica, went to Hedo 2 as a training and, quote unquote research, Amsterdam, Berlin, Prague. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Oh, South America, several things. I took a swinger type cruise and hit several ports in South America with my travel group. So yes, I think that the more I learn professionally and teach others, and people teach me, my clients teach me every day as well. I learn more and become more and more broad. I think the more we learn, right, the more we realize we don't know. There's so much more out there to know. So yes, I think it's helped me professionally, but I also think it's helped me personally because it allows me to explore things and go, somebody taught me something new. I would think I might want to try that, or I'm curious about that. So yeah, but to be honest, Mrs. Mocha, I was probably already fucking good. I'm just a little better now.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Oh, sorry.
Oh my God.
That was
What is happening over there?
Mr. Mocha is
well,
just
that was
pressing
one of
buttons.
Mrs. Mocha's training courses.
I'm so tired. I was.
She's done a lot of training on her back.
I have. Mr. Mocha
Hey.
taught me a lot. I can tell you that. I was already like sexually free in my own mind, just not allowed to anyone else until I met
Exactly.
him. Yeah, I couldn't. You know, like you said, it's a stigma. You're not supposed to talk about it. It's socially unacceptable or whatever to talk about those things. And, you know, it's now I mean, I'm still careful, of course, but I mean, I think even some people from work know now that we have this podcast, but no one's ever said anything so far. So here we are.
And it's crazy how
Oh,
much
man.
we still work at it. It's crazy. We still work at it. And I mean, over the years, the amount of people we've talked to and we've coached, we still learn more about ourselves all the time. Like, it's crazy how now there were so many years where I felt like I was, I created this goal for Mrs. Mocha to be sexually free. And it was me always trying to teach. We got to a certain point, and now I'm learning from her. Like, I'm learning.
About butt play?
Well, no. no. Listen, just because I let her hit it with the tongue once, goddamn it, don't mean we ain't going we're not going finger or knuckle deep or nothing like that. Stop looking at me like that.
I'm not. I just was thinking of the time that you came home from the doctor after your exam and were so traumatized.
Thank God she has small hands. Jesus.
It made me laugh a lot.
He
He came home. He's like, I don't know what I should do, if I should be in the fetal position in the bed or like what I should do. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Now imagine your penis going in my ass.
Hey.
Oh, it's not the same.
Hey, it's not the same. It is not the same.
Correct.
It is not the same, Damien. It is not the same.
That's what I'm saying. It's not the same.
It's far more traumatic, actually. So if you're not ready.
Listen, my counsel for her is always this: walk it off, honey. Walk it off. I'm joking.
I usually do. Just walk it off.
I'm joking. Well, this is what I will say. Throughout the years, anytime my dick has gone into my wife's ass, it was usually her putting it in there. Mm-hmm. Because I'm going to be honest with you. Okay? Let's be honest about this, honey. How long does it last?
Like 3 minutes.
You're a fucking lie.
It is like 3 minutes.
Let me tell you something. I've only lasted more than about 45 seconds in her ass. I always tell her, I'm like, listen, when you put it in there, it's a race. I'm going to come, okay? If you want long sex, don't put it in there. And sure enough, she'll put it in there, and then she'll be like, she'll start coming for 40 minutes. Like, I hate when she does that. Like, literally, like, I'm trying to hold it together. I'm trying to be strong, and then she'll say, I'm about to come. Okay, like, that's literally a trigger. And it's like my dick is listening. I'm like, don't say it. And she says it. And now I'm expected to keep this up. And I'm like, it's over. All right. You have from the time I come to the time it gets soft and I roll over into the fetal position for you to get your shit off. Like, you better come because you ruined it. You should have screamed into the pillow. And I've probably 30 seconds, 45 seconds.
He's exaggerating.
Okay.
He's really exaggerating.
Don't ever last long in there. I've never been able to get the whole thing in there.
Yes, you have.
No, I haven't.
I have a whole ass fucking video of it. I have 3 or 4 videos.
Really?
Yes, I do. You have.
I didn't think I made it that long.
Daddy.
I didn't come in like 2 seconds.
No.
I'm pretty sure I've got
The video's 25 minutes long. I sent it to somebody the other day.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't in there for 25 minutes. We were doing a lot of other stuff, and then you climbed on top of it. And then next thing I know, it was like,
I will show you the video when we're done.
Hey, who the hell you sending my videos?
Your face isn't in it.
Listen, people don't need to be seeing what I do to you in private.
When you're literally just fucking my ass.
I want people to think that you were anal virgin.
Oh, I probably am now. It's been too long.
Well, we can fix that later.
Absolutely not.
little spit on it.
I told you the stipulations for anal.
Yeah, no. I don't even want to listen. Whenever she says that, I don't want to know what the price is gonna be. You know,
It wasn't anything bad. You're making it sound like to everyone that it was bad. It's
it
not
probably
bad.
was. I don't know.
I need to know now.
I'll
I'm
tell
curious.
you offline.
Oh, I know. Right? I'm
Okay.
nervous. What the
Okay.
hell?
You remember you had to carry something for me if that happened.
Oh yeah. That is fun.
I'll just say it.
Go ahead.
The doctor told me after I had all my surgeries last year that I was at very high risk for anal prolapse, and she was like, I would not do anal anymore, and we have not since then. And I told him he was only able to go up there if he would be willing to carry my intestines to the hospital, and he gagged, and I was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, he was like, okay, we don't really have to do it.
No.
Okay, cool.
No, man, we're good there. If I can carry them while being passed out, I got you
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So we'll just have to skip that.
Oh my God, no.
Yeah.
No. So you're.
We may have to delete that part of the episode.
Oh, no.
People are going to start listening.
No, we're gonna be talking about. Listen, that's a fetish apparently. Anal prolapse. I mean, you can be a part of a kink community.
Absolutely not.
I'll be sure to take pictures.
Our neighbor can.
Oh my God. Okay. And we're going to move on. We will delete that one. All right. So, sex therapy. Sex therapy. How many couples, how many non-lifestyle couples do you speak to that you think the lifestyle would benefit?
Oh, I think probably at least half of the couples that are monogamous couples would benefit, but it's not something I can bring up until they give me kind of an opening. And here's the thing, is that even monogamous couples aren't quite exactly monogamous. That means one sexual partner, but that's not always true. I think most couples honestly have some type of monogamish activity, whether it's inviting a third party in or going to the club, or something, that they do something that isn't quite that rigid. So I think people would be far more fluid in their relationship style if they weren't so afraid of the judgment or, that they're doing something wrong. Whatever script they were handed. So
and how
I think
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
How long did it take you? How long did it take you to make that mental and emotional transition from this is bad, I was taught it's bad, society says it's bad, to this is not bad, oh, this is good, and now I'm comfortable recommending this lifestyle to others?
Oh, I don't know that I ever thought it was bad. That can't be true. I would probably say I was judgmental maybe, about 20 years ago, 15 years ago, maybe at the most recent. I think that as a counselor, as I began to see couples, nothing rocks me, nothing really ruffles me in therapy. So if somebody brought this in, I never was judgmental about it. It was more about my personal, how do I fit in this space? And I didn't think I could do it. I came with a lot of fear and, insecurity of what this means. In my first marriage, I thought looking at porn was a betrayal. If my husband looked at porn, that was a betrayal. So I've come a long way. I call it a revolution. My sexual revolution has been, a 20-year making in progress and will continue to evolve. But I had a lot of those rigid views in the first marriage that we were most certainly monogamous. And But once that period between my marriages is when I really learned a lot and started thinking, what if I tried this on for myself? Never gave it a second thought for myself, but was okay with it for anybody else. So that definitely was a transition. And that probably, we still work on that, because we don't know everything until we're kind of confronted with something, and have to think about something. So it's still a work in progress.
And how hard is it for you to how hard is it for you personally to push to do new things?
Clearly not too hard because she went to a whole event by herself.
But she had to push herself to do it. So is it? I mean, how big of a deal was that?
That's like jumping off a cliff. She was
maybe to you, it might not be to her. I don't know.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
It was. It kind of was. Well, and I'll be honest, I signed up for it kind of on a high of something else. I also do presentations for conferences and talk about sexuality. And one of my biggest topic that I research is cuckolding with race play, or interracial cuckolding. So I had just done a presentation in St. Louis, and it went over well. And I was really kind of honored and surprised by the feedback I got, that it kind of really ignited that I think I need to do more. And so I was like, but I need to immerse myself in this. I know it from a certain standpoint, but man, Splash Mocha would really immerse me, right? Really get me in it. So I signed up after this high of a conference. And then almost immediately, probably about a month after that, I started to go, oh crap, what have I done? What have I done? I need to back out. How do I back out? What do I need to do? And I just procrastinated enough that I couldn't back out. And then of course, knowing that a friend of mine would be there, I'd have a friendly face to see, really, really was helpful. But yes, up until, I don't know, 2 weeks out, I was still trying to figure out how to backpedal out of that. So there are some things that pushes me, I have to really talk myself off the ledge or over the ledge. I like the way Mrs. Mocha worded it. It was jumping off the cliff. I had to talk myself to jump off that cliff.
Yep.
And just dive in. And I would have never had those experiences had I not done that. And now I'm all in. I can't wait for the next one. So, as far as new activities here and there, I don't think interpersonal one-on-one, that's not difficult for me to try something new. It's more of this there's a lot of people there, a lot of stimulation that can be overwhelming to me.
Like gangbangs?
I have not done that yet. So that seems like a lot of stimulation, I don't know if I'm ready.
I like how you said yet. That's good.
I can guide you through those.
Oh, I just love you.
I'm serious. Those are, I think my first few gangbangs were alone, and I'm fine with being with someone or with another woman or without another woman because I'm not super bi. But like I said, it's always more fun to do because it's almost like I feed off of my girlfriend's energy, So if there's another girl in the room and they're just doing they're having as much fun as I am having, I want to do it even more. Like I said, there's a few women at Splash Mocha that I actually hang out with probably a big percentage of the time because we don't play with each other, but we are, what would you call it?
Well, they play next to each other. They partner up, and
we're very good partners because she's like, oh yeah, take that big dick in your mouth. Oh, you're such a dirty whore. Look at her swallowing that whole dick with her pussy, shit like that.
Oh yeah.
While I'm fucking, and I'm like,
crazy.
okay, bitch,
that's hot.
Let's go. So it's just encouragement, but that your friend is enjoying it as much as you are, even though she's not fucking in that moment because she needed a break. So
I love that. Do you know that's the first time I've heard of something like that, Mrs. Mocha? I mean, see, I'm learning. I think I know a lot, and then I realize I don't. I never thought of this girl cheerleading on. That sounds really hot, and it sounds really exciting. I'm down.
That's usually how how I do at most of the mochas because I'll let you in on a little secret, but I also get overwhelmed with like one-on-one stuff. Not because I'm awkward. Group stuff is easier for me because it takes the attention off of just me specifically. I will do like one-on-one stuff for sure. More so though, you can ask Mr. Mocha with like people that I'm familiar with.
And she transitions, so she's always like the group thing. But after she got sick and she was having challenges where sometimes she'd play and then she'd just have physical discomfort, you know, she started getting really paranoid that, okay, I'm going to start playing with this guy, and then halfway through, what if I start, you know, what if I have to stop or something? What if I got to stop because something hurts? Then, you know, she's a pleaser, so she was like, you know, I hate the thought of leaving this guy, so leaving him untaken care of. Nah, she's my fucking hero for that. So, you know, she started doing these things with the ladies, like where they were kind of teaming up, and they were aware of why they were teaming up with me. I would be like, hey, I need help. And there's nothing sexier, like, to me, like, and this is something that's kind of for both of you. So it's that concept of female power. Everybody came to our house parties and said it's the best parties they'd ever been to, but that was because we selected females who would feed off of them. The one thing that we learned at parties is this: if you take two females, one who's a complete slut and all about it and she wants everything, and one who's a prude, 9 times out of 10, the one who's wild is going to start being more prudish. You increase the group of women, if 50% of the women there are prudish and 50% are all out wild, the prudes will always take over. The prudes? Yeah, the prudes. The prudish women, they'll be wild. Okay, got it. If it's 50-50, they're going to always influence those who want to be wild. So if you have women who want it to be wild and they're looking at the prude group and the wild group, they're going to go stand close to the prude group because they're worried about judgment. So if you have a party with 90% of the women who are wild and 10% who are prude, that 10% is going to realize, wait a minute, what the fuck are we doing while they're all having fun? So that's what we started to do, realizing that as dudes, we tend to forget that women live their entire 20, 30, 40, 50 years of worried about what people are going to say. So if you put them in an environment that's not welcoming to them opening up, oftentimes they won't. So once we realized that, the parties changed. Once we realized that, she would go to Mocha and she would grab somebody she was like, hey, let's go. And 3 or 4 somebodies. 3 or 4, and you watch them in the room and it's like, what the fuck? You know, like it's the craziest shit to watch them holding each other's hair, or like watch one holding 2 dicks and sharing with 2 women. Like I've seen her in the middle of 2 women holding a dick in the right and the left hand, and 2 women. Like I'm like, what kind of alternate universe did I just step into? Or the last one in Atlanta where we had ATL Bull in there. Oh, yeah. And I was like, I cannot do him today. And the 2 girls were standing right there. I was like, oh, they got you. And the one girl looked at me like, I can't do that. And I was like, you got that, girl. She did it too. And then she fucked him and she was like, oh my God, did you see me take that huge dick? And I was like, I did. That was so good because I couldn't today.
That's awesome. Well, going back to what you were saying, Mr. Mocha, I thought, here's the thing is women are afraid of other women that judge them. We're not necessarily afraid of the men judging us. It's the women. Exactly. So we inhibit ourselves because of that judgment of others. So I am all about women uplifting women, right? Not a fan of the woman that is criticizing other women or, bad mouthing kind of thing. I'm not a fan of that. I really like the idea and I think we all flourish when women build each other up and really are our biggest supporter. So that it's interesting that you say that because I think that's exactly right. If the ratio is equal of prude to not to wild, then it is probably going to become more prudish because they'll be influenced by that energy and all in the judgment. But if you have the majority of the wild, it allows the prude to let go, right? A little bit they're the odd man out, and it doesn't feel good when you're the odd man out and you can't influence them. So you kind of, what is the saying? If you can't beat them, join them. So yeah.
I actually felt bad at not bad, but I felt bad for some of the ladies because this whole time, I'm married to Mr. Mocha, so I do have a little more freedoms. But one of the ladies had sex with, 10 guys that night. And she was...
No, it was 4, and she asked, was it okay?
Yeah, was it okay to play with...
She had sex with 4 guys, and when she left, she was like, oh, I kind of want to play with more, but...
But I was afraid of what, the other ladies were saying. Meanwhile, we're out here riding 18 dicks that night. For real. There were 18 here, and we were riding every dick here. And I was like, well, who would say anything about you riding a dick? Yeah. Because in my mind, that was foreign for anybody to say anything. But then the husband reached out to Mr. Mocha the next day and was like, we want to come back to one of you guys' parties. And the next time she fucked every dude in the room.
Boy.
And just said, the place that I go normally.
She never left. She took one room.
And never left the room.
She never left that room.
Yeah. She was able to be free. But then they told us later that the place they hang out for lifestyle stuff, it's not, I guess, socially acceptable to necessarily do interracial stuff. Remember, we live in the South. Okay. Interracial stuff.
So riding black dick wasn't okay.
Yeah. And what else did she say? That, usually it's just one person that you have sex with at their event. And I'm like, well, who the hell said that there's a rule on who you can and can't fuck or how many you can fuck? I mean, that's like you said in the beginning, Tammy, that's how you play is how you play, and what you make it is what you make it, as long as everybody's consensual to what you're, consenting to what you're doing.
Exactly.
And Mrs. Mocha in the beginning, Mrs. Mocha was fucking amazing. Literally. Was, you're all right now. You decent. I might keep you around for another 4-5 years. I don't know.
Thanks.
But, so in the beginning, Mrs. Mocha, what I loved is she took my word as she followed instructions. Go have fun. Don't worry about anything else. And she would go into a room, and there were lots of ladies who in the beginning did not like her because she just went and had fun, and that was it. And the same women who talked about her behind her back, who acted like they couldn't stand her, all of that stuff.
And I gave 0 fucks.
She gave 0 fucks. But those same women turned out being her best, the people who loved her the most, and they would be the ones who, once they realized that it didn't affect her, and which was weird, they would they shunned her at first for being who she was, and once they realized she didn't give a fuck, then they kind of stopped, and then it was they were polite, and then it was, hey, how do you do that? And then
exactly.
Yeah, everybody's following her.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Is they're not really upset with her. They're not mad at her. They're mad at themselves. That's a bit of jealousy, right? That's in the vein of jealousy. That how dare you get to go and be yourself and be free like that when we are here, abiding by these rules or whatever it is, these constructs. So what they're actually upset about is that they are not allowing themselves. They're inhibiting themselves to be free, and the way we deal with that thing, that anxiety of it, is to then put it on somebody else, right? To judge somebody else and want them to pull back so that we don't feel so bad about our inhibitions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Mocha never made me feel bad about them. So I guess that was where, and I didn't realize, like I said, in my mind, that's just how everybody was, because he did just tell me, this is what you do, this is how you do it. Don't worry about this, but be respectful of people and, women and da-da-da-da-da. And I was. I think I followed all the rules well, but I'm also kind of naive, because I live with Mr. Direct. No big deal. And if you're upset at me, you have to say, like, I'm upset at you. Otherwise, if we're speaking, I'm just like, oh, okay. So a lot of the women that did not like me, I didn't know until later. And it ended up being, silly stuff. Like, they were saying, like, I got arrested for dancing on the bar at some club. And I was like, oh, I got arrested? Okay. This is getting spicy. That never happened. But, just women like talking, but I didn't. He had to actually tell me that they were, like, upset that wasn't a good thing. Because I was like, oh, that's kind of exciting. And he was like, no, honey, that's not a good thing. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, what do I do?
Just keep doing what you do. Yeah,
and I did. Mm-hmm. I mean, I probably gave those people a side eye a few times, but nothing crazy.
Yeah, and then after, they wind up being her biggest advocates. Like, now those same women, if someone says something about Mrs. Mocha, they'll probably scratch your eyes out. But it was interesting early on to see that. But I think a huge thing for us, and it's the thing that when we look at a lot of people within the lifestyle and outside the lifestyle, but especially within the lifestyle, just like everything else, you have to have goals. Going into this, my goal was always for Mrs. Mocha to have the same level of sexual experience and the same level of sexual freedom that I'd experienced, because I didn't feel that she would ever understand me without it. So that was the goal. But I think most people step into the lifestyle and they just think of getting into the lifestyle. Mm-hmm. They don't make a goal. They don't make a goal for them and their spouse to go on a journey and achieve a certain level of sexual freedom outside of the confines of the norm together. They don't think that far ahead. They just think, ooh, lifestyle, fuck other people. And Mrs. Mocha, when I saw how fucking wild and crazy she was on the inside, and she was like holding it in. I'm like, fuck it, And I told her that I'm gonna make you understand what it felt like to be me before I settled down and turned to an angel for you.
I'm so dead. I wish you were an angel.
When did that happen? Right?
Yeah, exactly. It never happened.
That hurts. I'm wounded.
Doesn't your name means never mind? But yeah, I like I said, I didn't even, like, the past 4 years, I didn't realize how much more open we were as a couple than most. Because there aren't a lot of couples that have our dynamic, the way that we do things, and I didn't realize that we had several labels too. But, I mean, if we labeled something, I think for me, I'm just more of a, like, if we feel like doing that at this time, then we do it. So it probably changes daily, weekly, monthly, whatever.
I love that. That's what I call fluid. Is I think that, I've had a hard time if people ask me kind of how we do things. It's like, well, I can kind of generalize it, I guess, for you, but it could change in space and time depending on where my husband and I are, and what we're willing to do. So it's just not that rigid. I hate those kind of questions, even though I know that they're necessary for a lot of people to understand where boundaries are. Boundaries are important, but it is also like, gosh, I'm also a Cancer. My sign is a Cancer, and it depends on what I feel in this given moment.
Oh my God, so's Mr. Mocha.
I know.
Lord,
I get him.
Keep it simple. Do what feels right. And I think that if you have two people, the bullshit that I hear people say all the time, and I challenge them all the time, is, I just want my partner to be happy. No, you don't. You want your partner to be happy within the confines of what you imagine will keep you feeling comfortable. But you don't grow inside of your comfort zone.
Not at all.
Yeah, I've made myself uncomfortable to expand Mrs. Mocha's boundaries. She's made herself uncomfortable to expand our boundaries, expand my boundaries. And that's because we both want each other to get the most out of this. So that's kind of where I've always stepped back. And when people go, oh, yeah, I just want to see my partner happy. Do you really? Because you guys had the same dynamics for the last 15 years. Everything grows, everything changes, everything adjusts. If you've made no adjustments in 15 years, one of y'all lying to the other.
Yep. That's true. And I agree with you on, I would love for my husband to feel the same level of freedom. He's, I'm a little further down the path than he is, because of, what I had experienced before I met him. And we've been, lifestyle friendly. We've been involved. We've done some things, but he still hasn't gotten to a level that I feel like he could truly be free. And I would love for him to experience that. So, that he can feel what I feel or experience what I experience in that just freedom. And the ability to express yourself and be okay with that. Align with who you really are.
Yeah. I mean, I think we all do things at our own pace too, because as wild as I was, I can admit it now, I had a harder time letting Mr. Mocha be wild. I was fine with no boundaries, but I wasn't okay with him not having any boundaries. I'm so serious. I'm dead ass.
Yeah, and
at least I'm being honest about it.
Yeah, beautiful.
And here's the thing is that I feel that way today, but I haven't been challenged yet. I haven't reached a point or a limit where I'm challenged that could change. Right now, I feel like I'm pretty open with whatever he wants to experience, but until it becomes real, we come to a situation that we'll see, but that's my growth edge then, right? On what is that's coming up for me that I need to look at, in that situation. So we'll see. And with life, you don't ever stop growing or having experiences. So you think you got it all figured out today, but tomorrow you could be presented with something you weren't ready for.
Yeah.
Communication is the key to that, right? Going into this with a lot of communication, and in my therapy practice, I do help people open that door, right? Some of them, they get so excited. The couples will come in and say, we're so excited. We want to open up a relationship and we're ready to go to the club. And I'm like, whoa, hold on. Let's talk about some things first. Let's slow that down a minute, because they have no idea what they don't know. That's my job, is to help them with some of the scenarios. We're not going to be able to work it all out, but, because again, I can't predict every single situation that you're going to come in contact with, but let's get some generalized things going on. So we kind of go in with more information about ourselves and our partner.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, does it count if you want to choke your partner out sometimes?
I mean, I think people like doing that, Mrs. Mocha.
I don't think I'm strong enough to even think about doing it.
Don't know if you can get your hands around that neck of his, right, to quite do that.
No, I tried it one time, and he was like, "Oh, are you tickling me?" Yeah. Oh, I didn't know you were choking me. I was like, "What the fuck?"
He's like, "That's so cute. That feels good. Like that massage."
That was literally what he said. I didn't even know.
I thought she was leaning on my neck. I didn't know she was trying to choke me. I felt bad later. I'm like, if I'd known, I'd have like oh no, something, but.
Remember that when you're asleep. Wake up coughing like, did you have a bad dream? Are you choking on something?
It hit me in the throat in my sleep. See, you see her plotting on me?
I do. I'm hearing it. Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say it on the podcast. Mm-hmm. But I like I said, what I struggled with the most lifestyle-wise was letting him be as free as he let me be. And honestly, that was within the past, 6 or 7 years? It took me a while for us to be on the same kind of playing field. And there were a lot of limits that I had to push, and there was a lot of, I can't say a lot. There were some tears.
They weren't.
Not from him.
It wasn't so much that there were a lot of it was more me. I mean, I felt like, and I still feel like I have to lead from the front. I can't ask her to watch me do anything that I haven't shown her that I can watch her do multiple times. To me, the important thing is always, a lot of time it comes down to, you have jealousy, but you also have the fear of, if I do this, will you still love me? If I do this, will you still respect me? If I do this, will you still treat me a certain way?
Or what if you fall in love with someone else?
Yeah, all of those questions. So in order
That's
to
a very
combat
common
that,
one.
Yeah.
So I watch you do it for an extended period of time, and then I ask you, do you still love me? Yes. Do you still trust me? Yes. Do you feel like you're falling in love with somebody? No. So you do see it's possible for this to be done. And to me, that's leading from the front. Once we've established that, that I'm not going to leave you, I'm not going to treat you bad, I'm not going to fall in love, I can deal with jealousy. Jealousy, I don't mind making you cry because you're jealous, but I'll never make you cry when you legitimately feel like I may not love you if I do a thing. So everything that we did was me getting past the part where it was like, okay, I can prove to you that you're never going to lose me or lose my love or lose my affection. And then jealousy, okay, I don't mind if you cry because you're jealous. I don't like it, but it's...
That sounded really dickheadish.
Yeah, I know.
Let me soften that up as a therapist. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Tammy. Thank you. Come to my rescue.
Let me reframe that. I think what he's saying is he's not going to save you from your emotions, which we shouldn't. We shouldn't rescue our partners or our loved ones, our kids, anybody, from how something makes them feel. But he's saying, so I'm not like that. That's yours, right? That's your stuff. However, I never want you to believe or have this, fear that I'm going to leave you. You're going to feel normal things. Jealousy is a normal emotion. So, and it's not a bad emotion. It can actually be a good emotion. It can motivate us to do something. So, he's saying that is normal and okay, and I'm going to let you feel that. But I'm not going to let you feel scared that I'm going to leave you.
Yeah.
You're my official translator.
I'm so dead. Just chat GPT it next time, Daddy.
No. Ladies and gentlemen.
Sound softer. Make it sound a little nicer for my wife.
And just for anyone who's listening, Tammy does do counseling. And she can do counseling for anyone, anywhere. Tammy, where can they find you so that if they need you, they can reach out to you?
So my website is thepleasureprinciples.co. That's .co. They can also find me on Facebook under The Pleasure Principles, spelled with Z's. I'm on X. I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, any of those things. And I'm also under Tammy Fisher. That's my Facebook page as well. But thepleasureprinciples.co is the best way to get a hold of me. If you're wanting some coaching or some therapy, if you're in Colorado or Texas, I am licensed there. But I am able to provide kind of coaching service or guidance for you anywhere.
Now, Mrs. Mocha Surson, she just looked. Oh, your website is very nice. That is a very good looking website. Yeah.
Thank you.
So, everybody make sure you check
it's
it
like
out.
legit and all.
Yes, she actually knows what she's talking about here. Look at it.
Okay.
No.
On Facebook, it's pleasure, spelled with a Z instead of an S, pleasure.principles with a Z instead of an S at the end there.
All right.
Pleasure.principles with Z's.
Oh. I think we still. Yeah, I mean, I don't do the spelling, so, my wife will figure it out. Or you can just, look for our Facebook, which is OFACEZ, OFACEZ. So if you see ours, click on that. Anyone who's not. But in the meantime, while Mrs. Mocha's looking this up, everybody, we always like to support, people in our community. And it's it's even better, especially from a lifestyle standpoint, to talk to someone, a counselor or a therapist who has lifestyle experience. When you talk to people who've seen a therapist with no lifestyle experience, even though they can give you good information when you need help, there's still certain nuances that they miss. So I would always recommend, speaking to someone who, like Tammy, who actually is in the lifestyle and interacts with lifestylers, because not only is she constantly being educated secularly, but she's also in the field with hands-on. And, I can tell you from personal experience, she really goes hands-on. Okay. She goes hands-on with her therapy, and I'm a better person for it. So
I do like to get all in the grooves of everything, all the little nooks and crannies. I am that person. I do like to go deep and learn about things because I think I can show you more and reflect more to you when I can do that.
So hopefully we'll be able to get Tammy and the Pleasure Principles on to jump in, chime in, offer counsel, offer assistance to those of us in the lifestyle, and hopefully we'll get her back on our Old Faces podcast.
Yep.
Absolutely. So this is it's always fun talking to you guys, and so yeah, anytime I'm happy to come back.
And thanks for jumping on so last minute.
Of course. I mean, what else am I doing on a Saturday night? This tells you, just how exciting my life is, right? That I'm like, sure, I'm not doing anything tonight. Let's do it.
We're the same this weekend. Sometimes we're like extremely busy, but we're the same. It's too cold to go out anywhere around here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're literally wearing robes right now. So
yeah, no desire to be out in the cold.
Yeah.
And this was actually more fun than anything I could have thought about doing anyway. So, well, except maybe sex, but I'll probably get that later. So we're good.
Yeah. I was definitely going to say I can recommend some fun stuff, but that'll be when you come visit us here in Atlanta.
And maybe
Absolutely.
If I see you at Mocha, that we could jump some dicks together.
All right. Woohoo.
No pressure. Okay, no pressure at all.
My wife is a mad woman.
I mean, if you want to, it's only like it's just I'm just offering.
I'm sure she'd be happy to.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
2 or 3 women are always better than 1.
And we'll get a whole bunch of guys for you. So everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Tammy, thank you for joining us. Until the next time, if you enjoy listening to O Faces, please check us out at OFACEZ podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. You can check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and everywhere else. And until next time,
goodbye from the Mochas.
And when we're all done, fall asleep.